Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Ian, digital marketing consultant and agency owner. And in this video, I want to talk about the 3 most common problems I see with new Google Analytics installations. Now, this is important because many people are out there using Google Analytics because it's a great free resource to get started doing some data analysis on your website. But the problem is that if you don't set up Google Analytics correctly, it's going to be feeding you incorrect data and it's going to give you incorrect insights about your business, which could cause you to actually lose money and time. So you want to make sure that you really take the time to set up Google Analytics, your property correctly, something you're going to use for your business. Now, the 3 main problems that I consistently see in new Google Analytics setups are no cross-domain tracking, no referral exclusions set up, and no custom events installed. So we're going to go through those real quick, one by one. So cross-domain tracking not being properly installed. This is an issue because many modern websites go through multiple domains prior to users taking the actions that you're trying to track. So for example, if you're trying to track users that are purchasing something on your website, if you have multiple sites or domains that people are going through in order to get through your sales process, you might have a user click on an ad, go to your first site, move to the next domain, and then make a purchase. And if you don't have cross-domain tracking installed correctly, what's going to happen is your analytics platform is going to be able to track that user from their click on an ad to your first site. But during that transition to the second site, prior to the user purchasing something, that user session is going to get broken. Meaning a platform like Google Analytics will not be able to track where that user came from. You can see how this is a huge problem if you're trying to track which campaigns are leading to a sale. If the session where a user came from a certain campaign is broken prior to them making a sale, the analytics platform won't be able to tell you which campaigns are getting the highest performance and causing people to purchase your products or services. So if you're using some sort of online presence where you have multiple sites or even just another domain you're using for the checkout, you really need to make sure that at each point users are transitioning across sites. Even if it's back and forth, you have a way to track those users, and that technology is called cross-domain tracking. Now, there's a different way to install cross-domain tracking if you're using a tag management system like Google Analytics versus an out-of-the-box setup like simply installing an analytics script on your site. In each case, there's a process for making sure cross-domain tracking is set up correctly, and I'm going to link my favorite resources for that process using both Google Tag Manager and Google Analytics. So this is we can get as complex as we want on this subject. Web technologies, you can keep pulling back more layers, but for now, I think you have a good understanding of where the problem can arise for cross-domain track. The next issue is referral exclusions not being installed correctly. Most commonly, it's going to be a problem when you have users leaving to go check out on a different site and then coming back. And a very common example is when users are leaving to make a purchase on PayPal and then coming back. If you have an option in your checkout on your site for a PayPal checkout, users are going to briefly have to leave your site to complete a PayPal checkout and then come back. If you do not have referral exclusions set up, what you're going to see in your referral traffic in Google Analytics, you're going to see a whole bunch of people coming from PayPal. Now, it's probably not likely that PayPal is actually sending users your way. What's actually happening is people are leaving to make that purchase, and again, the user session is breaking as far as Google Analytics is concerned, so it looks like people are just randomly coming from PayPal to your site. Now, I'm using PayPal as an example because you'll see this in many different businesses that are using PayPal as an optional checkout. Oftentimes, people forget to set up referral exclusions for that one, so it's just very common. But realistically, this can be an issue with any type of activity where a user is briefly leaving the site and coming back. Again, this is similar to cross-domain tracking. The issue here, though, is that you're not actually going to another property that you own. So in this case, you don't own PayPal. This isn't a checkout that's under a domain that you own. It's a completely third-party domain that you need to make sure is not being tracked as an actual referral. You need to make sure that Google Analytics is set up to understand that this third-party site is part of your sales process and it's not actually referring traffic to any of your properties. The last issue issue that is very common in a new Google Analytics setup is not having correct events installed on your site or not having any custom events set up. Now, this is important because out of the box, none of these analytics platforms can understand the behaviors your users need to take on your site prior to a sale. Realistically, we don't have any software that's good enough at setting up all different custom events on your site and just know how your business is set up. You really need to do that independently, at least for now in 2019. The large part of this is still a manual process, but you need to set up the different tags and trigger systems to alert your analytics and ads platforms to when users are taking select behaviors on your site. For 90% of businesses, they're all going to share a lot of these events, things like adding a product to a cart, initiating a checkout, viewing product pages. If you have a Shopify business, very common events are a collections page view or a content view for a product page. Regardless of what events you choose to use, you need to make sure that the important behaviors users take on your site are being tracked and they're being sent to the platforms that you're using. The platforms for analytics like Google Analytics or a third-party paid platform, or your ads platforms like Google AdWords and Facebook ads. Now, this is a problem. It's definitely a problem if you don't have events set up, but it's even more of a problem if you have events incorrectly set up or old events that you used to use and they're still on your site firing. This is a huge problem because a lot of these platforms are built to optimize for the events that you set up. So an example is Facebook ads. Facebook ads, you can basically pick whichever event you want, and Facebook's super powerful machine learning algorithms will optimize on that event. So if you have an event that, say it's an add to cart, you tell Facebook to optimize for this add to cart, and it's actually just sitting on a page that's not doing anything, you're going to be spending all your ad dollars to optimize for an event that no longer exists. So you need to make sure that at a minimum, you have correctly installed events on your pages, and then beyond that, you need to make sure that the events are relevant to your business model and they're tracking the important behaviors users are going to be taking on your site. So those are kind of the three main issues: cross-domain tracking not set up, referral exclusions not set up, and events not set up or improperly set up, which is even worse. Again, I'm going to have resources for all three of those subjects below. The resources I think are easiest to understand if you're new to this subject. If you're not new to this subject and you understand it on a deep level, then you're definitely just watching this video for entertainment. So I hope it served that purpose for you. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button, comment below and let me know what else you'd like to see, what other topics you'd like to have us go over. And then as always, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so that you're notified anytime we come out with new videos on paid marketing or analytics. And as always, thank you guys for watching.